Wednesday with Shanrae, and I am Shanrae. We are back on for part 2 of our week 2. Our topic for this month, which is gene factor. This subtopic for this week is genes and your personality. So I'm gonna go on and let's do our website disclaimer, and then we're gonna move on from there. Give me one moment. Y'all know that I acquired a dual degree from Ashford University. And here we go.
Please be aware that due to the nature of the technology that I'm using, there can be no assurance of confidentiality when using this online service. It should also be noted that due to changes in policies, all replies are to be used as advisory and informational only and will not constitute an official determination. Information provided by myself are limited to the current and available material, but the final responsibility for successfully achieving a goal rests with you, the client. Information online is designed to be helpful. However, this information changes frequently, and it is recommended that you, the individual, will consult another physician, another specialist, and or religious leader to aid you in your overall behavioral wellness.
All right, so without further ado, we're going to bring my guest on for tonight, my cousin, Pastor Kibwe Owens. Here we go. Kibwe, I'm going to move this over here. You want to reintroduce yourself to the audience once again?
Sure thing. Good evening, everybody. It's Kibwe Owens. I am so happy to be here this evening. Hopefully changing and encouraging some people with our conversation tonight. Thanks, Shanrae, for having me.
Thank you for accepting to be my. It's been such an honor to be able to share this platform with you, yes. And you can give an inspirational Christian standpoint to the same virtue ethics that counseling. So I'm going to let me open this up with the both of us because I'm a Christian counselor, so I want to go over the scripture again for this evening and for the year. I've been using it for the year, and it's Deuteronomy 31:6. It says, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you, nor will he forsake you. And then we're going to move on to the key points that we're going to touch on this evening. So number 1, we're going to touch on again nature versus nurture. Number 2 is personality timeline. Number 3 is inheritable traits. Number 4 is change possible. And of course, our takeaway and our quote, if we have enough time to get to that. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to start really quickly with the first thing. Let me open this up. This is the introduction. And it says the science of self. How much of our personality is encoded within our DNA? Now, this theory is by Alyssa Hewlett. Okay? And it's medically reviewed by Mia Armstrong. And actually, I have done other theories that's been medically reviewed by Dr. Mia Armstrong. So let's talk about this a little bit. Based on genetic studies, scientists estimates that 30 to 60% of our personality is inheritable. What do you think about that, Pastor Kibwe?
To be honest with you, I think that's true. I think that there's a lot of things that when you look at your life, when you look at the things that the way that you carry yourself, your characteristics, and then you look at your family, you can see some similarities. You can see a lot of things. Now, there might be some differences. However, and that's something that it stems all the way from God. You know, we can look at his characteristics, which is inside of us, which has been passed down from generation to generation.
That's right. So research also suggests that a significant personality changes tend to occur between. Now, I'm going to interject very quickly. I learned as I was going through the 20s and the 30s and the 40s, we are forever changing.
I think so too, because that's during the age where we're trying to find ourselves. there's a point in time where we're growing up and we are what everybody tells us that we are. You're going to be this, you look like this, you're going to be that. But like you said, we're trying to find who we are, trying to establish our own self from everybody else. And I love it because the Bible tells us in 1 Samuel, he talks about the Lord doesn't see you as man sees you. He looks at the man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at our heart. And that's where we're trying to do our heart. And that can change and fluctuate based on our nature versus nurture.
Exactly. So the studies are saying that it talks about, we were born certain ways. We are byproducts also of our environment. Debate that so far, no scientist, no theorist, no counselor or philosopher has been able to definitely answer. So while some of these studies show that a large portion of our personality is heritable, the exact extent, including the types of traits are heritable, is still largely a mystery. And we're going to move into, is your personality inherited or is it learned? And I like the way it says that a large part of this is still a mystery. And there's a scripture in the Bible said, because I got to keep it APA, y'all.
One thing about when you're looking at the person that he works and the way that he moves in each and every one of us, each and every one of us were created in his image. Each and every one of us has our own distinct DNA. However, we do come from somebody. We do have a lineage. So there are things that are in our DNA, things that are in us that, yes, we can look back to see. However, as we grow, we are not like everybody else. We are our own individuals. We might have some similarities. However, God has set us apart to be particular, to be peculiar, and to be individually made.
A little bit the other night, there's an old school movie called Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. And physically, they looked nothing alike. Y'all know what Arnold Schwarzenegger almost at midget stature, but their personalities was everything alike. I mean, they did everything similar, from eating, sleeping, talking, walking. Everything was the same, and they were parts of the country, right? And then they found each other later on in life. But that again, that inheritable part of it was just uncountable. Our first key point. Oh, let me move this over. Excuse me. Our first key point for tonight, and then So, is your personality inherited or is it learned? Okay, and so studies say that a little bit more. It says that for the sake of the article, they're going to say, according to 2018. The review trusted source is talking about them twins. I'm going to move on. It's inherited, and yes, it is learned. But it's still at the percentage is still, again, at a 30 to 60% percentage. It's called the Big 5 personality traits that we all have. I want to say really quickly, good evening, my Instagram family, good evening, my Facebook family, my TikTok family, my LinkedIn family, good evening, everybody. If y'all have any questions, I will pause and I will answer them. All right, so it talks about us, how we all have the Big 5. One of the 5 also be environmental. Yes, it can. Now, this is still that nature versus nurture question that has centuries. And I'm gonna say, if we can, we are, which is our environment. When we went to high school, when we were in middle school, so some of us that went to college, when we got married or started having relationships, how we did too, and how we started acting like them, talking like them, using the same slogans. So that's a part of that nature versus nurture, that environmental thing. Okay, we're still, like Pastor said, we're still individuals. Pastor, you want to hit on it before I go into the 5 traits?
I think that when we're looking at this, and when we look at it from a spiritual aspect, a spiritual dynamic that is passed down from mother to father to your children, from grandparents to your children. That's why one of the reasons why you'll hear people say when it comes down to personalities, it's important to have people in your home. You'll hear them say it's important to have what you're growing up around, what you become a product of your environment. There are also some traits that pass down. If you'll notice if your father or your mother was a womanizer or was, and we're going to get into more of the personalities, but you'll be able to see, well, you know what, your mother used to act like that. Your father used to act like that. So there are some things that are passed down through our genes and through our DNA. But I'm so excited about having this conversation because there is some things that we can't keep.
That's right. You know, and I say this very frequently, and this wasn't anything that I was taught, but this was God inspired. The Lord, and I have to keep it APA. I'm a Christian, but my relationship with the Lord has actually, I was in a school of a lot of things and have whispered things in my ears. And so when my husband and I got married 32 years ago, when we got married, the Lord dropped in my spirit and we sat and talked, and I told him, I said, listen, everything great that we have, everything negative that we experienced in our childhood, in our homes, we're going to leave that behind, and we're going to build on the good, and we're going to keep building from there. And then we taught our grown folk the same thing. All of the, in our home when y'all was raised, take that with you. All the negative stuff, leave it behind, leave the past, leave it behind, and build on the good things. And I'm saying the same thing here. Guys, tragic than others. But whatever, anything good, I don't care if it's a teacher, if it was a pastor, if it was a priest, if it was a stranger on the street that instilled something good in you, a librarian, somebody, anything negative, put it behind you. So let's go on, and we're going to move on, because this, you know, we're going to be on here a little bit longer than 30 minutes, y'all. I'm just going to prepare y'all. We're going to be here a little bit longer than 30, the big 5 traits that we all have. So the first one, this is the big 5 personality traits. Oh, let me move this. I'm sorry, I didn't move this along. There we go. The big 5 personality traits. First one is neuroticism. Okay. The second one is extroversion. So we know people that may be on number 1 that they may kind of seem neurotic. You know, it is what it is with that. Can they overcome it? Yeah. In whatever way they need to. Some way it may be medicinal, other ways it may be through counseling and therapy. But it is what it is. Extroversion. I'm extroverted now, but when I was a child, I was introverted. Okay. Number 3 is openness to experience. And these are big 5 traits that all of us have, or we notice in different people. Number 4 is agreeableness, and number 5 is conscientiousness. So let me open this up. I'm gonna go over this again. Work with or went to school with who are more like on the neurotic side. That's one. Number two, there are people that are extroversions, socialites. There are people, number three is there are open people growing up saying, I'll try anything once. I was like, oh, that's not good. You try anything once? Oh, that's that right there, openness to experience. Number four is agreeable. Now, some of us may have all of these traits, some of these traits, or just one. But these are the big five personality traits that are within us as babies and animals. So, Pastor Kibwe, you want to
When you look at these, we experience. If we look at our life, we might have experienced and noticed some of these in our own lives. When we talk about things that are being passed down through genes and things that we've experienced, the very first one, you know, and that's something that a lot of people wonder. They go through anxiety, they go through depression, they'll go through worry, they go through anger, and they're trying to figure out why do I have to react the way that I reacted. I bringing it personal. I can remember there are times in my life when my attitude, my anger would arise, and I can remember. You know, and for a long time, I'm like, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. But the truth of the matter is, there are some characteristics that are poured down into us and then learn how to handle. The extrovertedness, yeah, a lot of us have that, and it comes from the DNA, but there are some things that we have to learn and grow into. And just like you said, we start out one way, but it's not just, I believe that it's not just in the natural, but it's also in the spiritual as well. And once we begin to tap it and understand it, then we can grow and move to another level.
Specifically discovered that 42 sets of genetic variations or 772 specific areas in our DNA appear to be strongly linked to our personality traits. And cultural influences appear to have a crucial role in shaping these personalities as well. Okay? So it talks about, they said a child that was raised, or children that was raised in adverse conditions, such as with neglect, abuse, or poverty, are typically found to be more impulsive, like you said, aggressive. Their environment, of course. You know, this environment activates the impulsive temperaments. These genes may have otherwise been dormant, but because of this, I'm gonna pause here. We take care of our grandpa, our fur baby, our grandpa, our daughter's baby. Well, he's a rescue baby. I'm little Woody. But you from a wonderful environment, it appeared to be a wonderful environment, but unfortunately the family had been displaced or put him in a shelter. He was tied up to the back of their house and left for dead. Thank God. And he was put in a shelter, an overcrowded shelter. And so when you're placed in no different than foster care or someplace like that, anything like that. So when our daughter rescued him and brought him home, now he's over love with his little fluffy self. He's so fat and he just so we are working on that clink mentality where you ain't got to fight for your food no more. You got a bed to sleep, and he's starting to calm down. because the different genes are then activated. Well, you have them trustworthy genes. I'm a pastor. Come on, you.
It's amazing that are laying dormant, because it's just like spiritual gifts. You know, there are gifts that we have inside of us that are dormant until we are in a position who was, and a lot of times we don't realize, but when you're in your womb, and the experiences that your parents have is also passed down to you. If you're dealing with anxiety, if you're dealing with these types of things are also transferred and passed down to your children. So sometimes we're wondering, why are they like that? Why are they like that? Pregnant with me, one of her favorite meals was pizza. One of my favorite meals right now was pizza. You know, and I didn't understand why I like pizza so much. But then I've realized more and more when she was pregnant, she would have my dad can be triggered, certain things that can be passed down. But when we begin to understand it, we begin to talk about it, we begin to realize it. Again, sometimes we tend to stay in an environment because I was taught this way. I was brought up this way. Well, my mother was like this, so I got to be like this too. My father was like this, so I have to be like this too. Your person. You know, when my father ran the street, so I got to do this. When my mother was a woman, a manizer, my father was a womanizer, so I got the same mentality.
That's right. That's right. Look, he can say it. We can become new. I mean, all things are possible. We can become new. Okay, let's put his song, I Believe I Can Fly. That is a ministry within itself. You can do it. You can do it, whatever you choose to do, good, bad, or so. The next one, let me open this up really quickly, and then I'm gonna close it back. So, the studies talk about at what age does a child develop their personality? At what age does a child develop their personality? So it says it remains largely fluid throughout lifetime. But it does say, according to a 2020 review, trusted review source, observable as early as 4 months of age. So temperament does consist of two core parts. Okay, reactivity, or emotional responses. And number 2, self-regulation, which is the ability to control the action. My counsel the day for years. And she says, sis, I love how you always talk about how an action provokes a reaction. That's 2 core parts. Reactivity or emotional responses. And number 2, self-regulation or the ability to control these responses. Listen, yes, the old saying, if they started it, I would finish it. But now, I said, I'm growing up in the Lord. Praise the Lord, I'm growing. I just laugh now and keep going. And they're like, she's laughing. I'm laughing because you don't understand. Once upon a time, if you tried it, you're not worth it, and I'm not getting my pressure up. We're gonna keep it moving. Just don't put your hands on me. That's all. Pastor.
When you look at those traits that we're talking about, those personality traits, those things, the way that we respond, the way that we handle ourselves, the way that we react, they can start at an early age. You know, the way that our children respond when we say already know. The way that our children respond when they don't get what begin to take shape. And again, if you begin as a parent, as a grandparent, if you look at yourself and then look at your child, why are they acting? What have I done, or what type of things are inside of me that they might have picked up? Now, as they get older, I truly believe that as they get older, again to see, you know what, just like you said, my reaction does not have to be my reaction. You know, the way that I respond have to be that way. It's funny, I was talking to my son earlier today, and we was having a conversation about how he responds to certain things. And one of the things he said, I said, well, we have a choice whether or not if we're going to respond or not to respond, and how we respond to it. You know, but so many people in the world today, our society, you know, we have to understand that, yes, there are some things that are passed down. But like you're talking about tonight, we have the opportunity. The Bible says, do not become mind.
Yes.
When you put your mind to what you need to do, then you can be changed. Whether it's the good or it's the bad, or if you want to grow even better.
That's correct. So activity or emotional responses. And number 2 is self-regulation, or the ability to control these responses. I was having so they were talking with me about the things that they have done, the things that they were kind of ashamed of, the things that they've done. And they was like, and they said, this is who I am. Those are the things that you've done, but that's not who you are. And I kept repeating that. And I said, you need to start telling things that you've done. That's not who you are. Those are some things that you have done. You realize that they were not right at the time. You have regulated, and now you are exactly who you were created to be. Okay? So a lot of times people relate the things that they've done with a positive sense. And that's another that I can't even go into that one right now. But in a negative sense, some people, they with a negativity. And no, a negative, if you've done something negative in your life, that does not mean that's who you are. Okay, and that you've done. But we are ever changing and ever growing. Okay, so we're going to move on to what personality traits are heritable. And let me open this up very quickly. What personality traits? Research says that according to the National Library of Medicine, there are certain gene variants that appear to be linked to temperament. In particular, and then I'm going to bring, it is a medical term, and then it goes into something that we can better understand. So let me open this up again very quickly so you all can see the different scientific terminologies. And so it's going to say, so again, scientific terminology has linked temperament to DRD2. These are linked to a desire to seek out novel experiences. And I wanted to give y'all an example. Like a stunt person. Y'all know they have stunt. They're geared more to seeking out desires from awkward experiences like jumping off of a mountain. People that are live. They live extremely disciplined lives. I'm now pastors, but we're gonna leave that alone. So monks and nuns, I can use them because they really do live disciplined lives. That's number 2. And the WSCD2 gene variant, and that's associated with sociability. Example, and I like to use examples. I don't know if y'all remember, Donkey was very sociable. He was very, extroverted. Y'all can think of something else, but Donkey was something else because he would just walk into stuff. Number 4 is the MAOA gene variant. This one is linked to introversion. And it says especially in certain contents. And I wanted to know was very introverted. Like she couldn't take hardly anything. She would just spaz out doing like little life stuff that we can handle. She couldn't. 2. Then they got the BA1AP2. This one is long. The CELF4. Now these are all gene variants that's in all our body. NGO2, the XKR6, the ZC387B, the OLFM4, the MEF. All of this is inside of us. Okay? So the OLFM4, the MEF2C, and the are linked to anxiety and depression. And I gave the example. I don't know if some of y'all watched the animation. That's that gene. So some of these genes are more dormant, are more active in our bodies than others. So I wanted to give y'all how these genes can we change these variants? Yes. Put us in a different environment. Continue to put us in a different environment. Let me give you 2 just came out on Netflix. It might have been tough, but I really commend the father, how he put him in environments that he was sensitive to, because he knew in life he was going to face these environments, and he trained his environments that he was naturally sensitive to build that resistance so he can be more functional in life. Okay, Pastor.
Those scientific explanations and scientific numbers, I would begin thinking, when you go to the doctor and you have your doctor's checkup, one of your parents, did your parents have heart attacks? Did your parents have high blood pressure? Did your parents have this? Did your parents have that? Because they're trying to from what is inside of you to where you might be at right now. And so not just for medical purposes, but also for things are in each and every one of us. And I believe that God created us all in his image. God, when he sent his son Jesus to walk the earth, he experienced, and just mentioned, is inside of each and every one of us. But you also said that some of them are dormant and some of them are more prominent than others. We can go through life, experience some of those traits more than others. Mm-hmm. You know, we can allow some of those things to come out more than others. They're in us. That's all we know. That's all we know. My mama, my daddy, if you was raised by your grandmother, raised by your grandfather, and even if you was adopted, they might portray that will begin to come out inside of you while you're being raised, while you're being brought up. But I will tell you that we are also products of our bad. Your genes are. The environment that you put yourself in will help mold your characteristics and your personalities. You know, I have 2 boys and a little girl, and I am my baby girl. But I'm realizing that I got to be even harder on my baby girl, because there's things that she will experience that my will be, and she has an outgoing, a bubbly personality. But one experience can change all of that.
Yep.
You know, and her life can be different. Her life can be changed, and that can happen to things. And it's really good to know that God is such an awesome God. What He put inside of us is for us, and the more we get to know Him, the more that we better sons, the better daughters, the better wives we can become for each other and for ourselves.
I'm telling you, yes. All right, so let me open up this. I think this is the last one before we end. Let me open this up really quick. It says, oh, you can't hardly see it, but it says, can you change your personality as an adult? We going right back to that same question. Can we change? Your personality can change significantly throughout life, whether unintentionally or intentionally. I'm going to say that again. Significantly throughout our lives, whether it is unintentional or it is intentional. And according to ages 14 to 77 years old, personality stability over time is quite low. In other words, they watch people from age 14 to 7. The question, can you change your personality as an adult? The answer is yes. Okay, Pastor.
And I have to agree with you. I think that our manipulate and adjust our personalities and our characteristics. Each and every one of us are going to go through things in life. We're going to have some good days and we're going to have some bad days. So throughout life, we're going to experience relationships that we're going to be involved in, jobs that we're going to deal with, financial things that we're going to have to deal with. A lot of that's personality and on your characteristics. However, I will encourage us all to remember who we are, you know, and not allow, like you said earlier, not allow our circumstances, not things that we've done. We all make mistakes. The Bible tells us that we're not perfect. We all fall short. But your failures, your shortcomings doesn't mean you're a failure. Just because you didn't make it doesn't mean that you're bad. We all have our moments. So I encourage each and every one of us not just like become who you are, because you're greater. The Bible says, greater is He that is in me than he that is in the world. There's nothing that you can do that can stop you from being the great. Those characteristics, all of those gene things, you were designed to be great. The choice is yours. The choice is mine. How will we be? I appreciate
now,
it.
I'm going to piggyback and I'm going to add a little bit of tough theory right here. Come a time in our lives where we age out of excuses, where we age out of using the same, because I grew up this way, have a terrible backstory. In some form of fashion, everybody has some type of trauma that they have experience out of using those things as excuses. You have when you've given tools, and trust me, at some point in life, but if you do not use those tools to succeed, then you have clearly made a choice to be, and you will continue to experience the same thing over and over and over again. You're going to keep having to start over again with making acquaintances. You're going to have to continue. You're going to have to, and this is tough, but it's true. You're going to have to continue again a lot of times until you own up to wolves that have been given to you so you can become the best version of you. Now, again, and I'm saying this now, and it gets to a point where you are aged out of excuses. When you're young, okay, you're trying to navigate through life. But if you've been an adult, I'm going to give you a year ago. His testimony is amazing. His life story, I have to say APA. His life story is amazing. So he grew up in a Christian environment. He talked about his trauma that he experienced as a child, growing up as a undiagnosed bipolar, schizophrenic. And so he lived, him and his siblings, they lived under that. Their mother, was him as he became a young adult to become an addict. He was an addict for a lot of his adult life. He finds the same issues and all of these different things. And that is a hard backstory, knowing that you're being taught Christian ethics in the church that reared you. The person who's raising you is dealing with clinical issues and not functioning well and teaching you this way. Or so, excuse me. He had to get some help because he kept getting in trouble. And just like, okay, so that was your foundation. You're an adult now. You can change the situation. Why your mom needed help. And thank God his mother wound up getting help later on in life. And now she's functional. You took that and you created something, and you turned your adult life into a tragedy where you had the power to sink it in. Like at that point, I'm sure that wasn't the first time he heard that, but it actually sunk in. And because he was getting older, he was in control of your own life. And so he had to face that fact. And he had to turn things around. And music was one of the biggest tools that helped responsible, accountable for your own adult life and your own adult, as an adult, that is now your choice, and you can't blame nobody else. So this is why we're here right now. We change as adults. Oh yes, it has been theoretically long term. This study that I'm teaching, this was in 2000. over. Our homework, Lord, it didn't upload right. So let's counteract our ants. So our ants are automatic negative thoughts or automatic negative thinking. And let's talk about 9 of them. This, or I'm never thinking right, or something. That's one. Using absolute terminology like always, never, every, and none. That's what other people are thinking about you without evidence of it. Okay? Number three, and these are the ants. These are the automatic net telling, they call it. Predicting negative outcomes without the evidence of it. Number 4 is focusing on the negative. Only seeing the negative feelings. Believing that your feelings are facts. Number 6 is guilt beating, where you're using words like should, must, have, and is labeling things, attaching negative labels to yourself or to other people. Number 8 is blame or blaming, which is focusing on assigning blame. We can change the world. We can change our own world. That's the song, y'all. We can change the world. Okay? Number 9 is audit or seeing things as completely bad. Pastor, what do you think about these ants?
Them are things that we all deal with from time to time. And it's important for us to recognize them, because truth be told, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. There's a lot of things that we deal with, a lot of things that we struggle with, a lot of negative stuff that we deal with, and a lot of that stuff has been taught to us. We have to learn how to move past that. We have to learn how to figure out for ourselves. One thing as a pastor that is important for us to tell people is that you have to study for yourself, get to know it for yourself. It's the same thing with this, with the same thing with your personality. Stop going, get to know yourself, accept yourself for who you are. You know, there's a lot in our community. Counseling is to help move to another level. You know, they have doctors, they have counselors. There are these people are in positions for a reason to help us be the best version of in our life. Those ants can hold us down.
Right.
If you allow those ants to hold you down, the choice is yours to let any ant, no matter how big or how small, hold me down, because I'm realizing who I am and those ants.
That's right. That's right. Because just like I'm giving counsel, someone is giving me counsel. I get counsel constantly throughout our lives, and me and my household, in my life, and what won't work, doesn't work for me. I'm still grateful that someone shared it with me. Counselor. But I experience these ants as well. So I have to practice what I teach. I practice what I teach all the time. It comes up throughout the day. But we just have to find ways to counteract it. And with that said, I'm going to open up this homework again. And then I'm going to say night. But I'm going to put the homework assignment in the comments for tonight after we log off. So the homework assignment is, let me show it one more time. All right. And then, number 1. Actually, let me keep this up. Okay. Number 1, How to deal with our ants. Number one, write it down. Identify and write down the negative thoughts that is bothering you. Write it down. Speak it in your phone. You know, thank God for our smartphones. If you don't want to write, speak it into the phone. Number two, after you write it down, investigate it, which means you're going to question the validity of that thought. Is there evidence to support it? What you thinking? And number three, talk back to that negativity. Challenge the negative thought with a more rational and a more positive perspective. I gave an example on Tuesday night. There are some people that beat themselves. Counteract that. Mm-hmm. You tell yourself, "Oh, I'm bright. I'm brilliant. I'm creative." You know, counteract that. This is the whole time, and it's going to move over until next week as well. I will put the homework assignment in the comment section when we log off. But this is how we're going to counteract our negative thinking. So, Pastor, is there one more thing that you want to say?
I just want to encourage each and every one of us to things and our personalities and our characteristics. When you begin to just take a look at it, like Shanrae said, write it down, do an investigative, you'll begin to notice things, care for. But you have the choice, you have the option to continue to move forward. And this is awesome. This is awesome. I will also encourage everybody that if you need to speak with somebody, speak with somebody. Whether if it's a pastor, whether if it's your friend, whether if it's your spouse, don't hold these things to yourself because they can eat you up on the inside. How good your life can be. Shanrae, I thank you once again for this opportunity to be with you. This has been awesome. I'm truly looking forward, and I thank God for what you're doing in your counseling ministry. In your counseling, the things that you're doing, I really appreciate all that you're doing. And once again, thank you for the opportunity to come and be with you.
And I'm gonna start having y'all know I do my counsel today every 3 months, 4 times a year. So this is my third quarter. And then my last quarter will be the month of inspirational moments with Pastor Kibwe, whether they're pre-recorded or he come on live and do it. I tell you, because I've enjoyed that we've got style standpoint along with APA theory. Okay, so this has been Counsel of the Day with Shanrae. I started a little late this month, so next week is our last week of Counsel of the Day with Shanrae. And hopefully we will get an inspirational moment with Pastor Kibwe for next week. It's went over almost an hour, but it was worth it. I'm so glad that I had Pastor Kibwe with me on this week, Tuesday and Thursday. Get those ants. Okay, I'm going to put everything in there. If you have any questions, Pastor Kibwe and myself will go back in the comment, Greek Counselor. So you all inbox me if there's something that you